Hello and welcome to the Recreation to Recreation podcast, the show where we explore the stories of people who have turned the activity that they love into positive change for our world. My name is Jen, and I'll be your sidekick on this adventure as we treasure hunt for gems of insight and wisdom while exploring the planet with our inspiring guests. For today's adventure, we're heading to Spain, Australia, and beyond with Marina to explore her world of water, photography, and capturing intimacy. Hi, Marina. How are you today?
Hello, how are you? I'm very good, thank you.
Amazing. Well, I'm so glad to be recording this podcast episode with you. I know you've been on many, many adventures lately, and we've been going back and forth. So it's nice to finally see you and to hear you. And I'd love if you could start by just telling us where you are and get us situated in your world.
Okay, well, thanks for having me. First of all, I'm really honored to be recording a podcast. I am based in Australia in the Gold Coast. Right now it's 10 a.m. The weather is sunny today. I woke up this morning feeling I think that I want to get today in the ocean, and I thought about going for a sunrise dive. I love watching the sunrise on the water, but I opened the window and I was like, oh, it's actually so cloudy and it was rainy.
Mm.
And I was like, okay, no sunrise dive. So I stayed at home, meditated and all that, and now it's sunny, full sun, sky is blue and it's beautiful. And I'm like, all right.
So you're like, Jen, let's wrap up this podcast episode so I can go get in the
Nah,
ocean.
it's okay. I really want to get in the ocean in the morning, but there's no waves at the moment, so I don't think that I'll be able to do it from now on, but it's okay. Tomorrow.
Tomorrow's another day.
We'll just go surfing, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
Perfect. Well, before we get into the interview, I have what I like to call my weird and wonderful questions. They're questions that really don't have anything to do with necessarily what we're going to talk about. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. More than not, they just make me laugh. So,
Okay.
so, if you're okay, we'll dive into those.
Go for it.
Okay, so to start off, if aliens landed on Earth, who would you recommend they talk to?
Oh, that's so random. Fuck. Ooh. Oh my God. To me?
Sure.
Why not?
Why not?
Yeah. Why am I going to send them to someone else? Come and talk to me.
Yeah. And you've got lots of things to say, and I'm sure you'd love
And
to learn.
I will have lots of questions too.
100%. Yeah. I actually, and when I come up with these questions, I'm like, what would I do? You
I was like, come and talk to me. What's happening?
yeah. Can you tell me everything that's going on in the
Why are you
galaxy?
here?
Yeah. I love that. That's perfect. What's the oldest piece of clothing you have and still wear?
Mm. I think that because I moved from Spain to Australia 10 years ago, the one that I just comes on top of my head is like a knitted, very colorful jumper,
Mm,
a cotton one that you can wear in summer, and it's just so beautiful because it's so colorful and has blues and reds, and it's just beautiful. And I have the same as one of my good friends. We bought it at the same time.
nice.
And I brought it here and I still have it and I love it.
That's perfect. Mine's also a sweater, and it just feels like home when you put it on. You're just like,
Yeah.
"Yes."
Yeah.
If you were stranded on an island, what are your 3 non-negotiable items?
Hmm. Well, a surfboard,
Mhm.
a mask and a snorkel. That goes together. That counts like one.
Totally, I accept that.
And oof, I should eat, right?
Well, maybe there's food on
So,
the island, so
well, if there's food in the island, I would go for a blanket or like a towel so in case I'm cold.
excellent.
Because I can be naked. I don't need a bikini. I don't need clothes.
Right. Yeah. But it's
Yeah.
nice to wrap yourself up in something every once in a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, perfect.
Just in case I'm cold. I get cold very easily.
Yeah, fair. What scent brings back a memory for you?
Mm. The first thing I think about when you ask this, I just think about how my country smells and how Australia smells.
Hmm.
Because every time that I hop off the plane in Spain, I am like, "Oh my god, it smells like home."
Mm.
Like, it actually smells like it always has.
Right.
And then when I come back to Australia, which is home, I am like, "Oh, it smells like home." So it's like every time that I go either to Spain or come back to Australia, I am like, it's so funny how the brain connects the smell of the place that you live.
Mhm.
It's incredible.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, I love that. It's interesting. I've done quite a bit of sailing in my time. And what always surprised me is that you could smell land before you could see it. And
Mm,
depending on where you were going, everywhere had such distinct smells. Like Grenada smells like spices. Like you can
yeah,
smell it as you're coming in.
yeah.
I love that answer and it's such an evocative sense, I think. I think that maybe we take for granted sometimes.
I think that not everybody develop in that sense, Like sometimes I speak to my partner and when I was telling him, "Oh my God, smells like Spain, like home," and then I come back and he's like, "Oh, it smells like the Gold Coast."
Yeah.
He's like, "What do you mean?" And I'm like, maybe he hasn't made that connection.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is, but yeah, it's so funny. So some people do feel that way and do sense it and smell it, and the brain has that connection
Mhm.
with that sensory thing, but some others, they just don't.
Yeah, absolutely. So I hope everyone listening, go take some deep breaths. Breathe something in, hopefully something nice, and see if you can, develop that brain-body connection that
Mm,
obviously you and I both enjoy.
yeah.
What is the strangest gift you've ever received?
Mm, my God, I don't know. This is so bad because I have such a bad memory. Can I skip this question? Because I don't know.
How about the best thing you've ever received as a gift, or is that too intense? You don't wanna put anybody.
No. There's a few. The last one that I remember is my friend Cindy told me, "Let's go on a dive one day. Let's go tomorrow. There's spots on the boat. Come, da da da." And my birthday was the following week. And when I got there, she was like, "This is gonna be your birthday present, okay?
Mm.
So we're gonna go for a free diving." And we went just free diving, and we had a sick day because the visibility was amazing. We saw leopard sharks, turtles. I was hanging out with a turtle. Like, I don't know for how long. My GoPro got the memory pretty much full because I was just hanging out with the turtle,
Sure.
and she was just breathing next to me and
Mm.
popping the head out and coming down and just hovering in the water next to me. And I was like, "Oh my God!" And I could just look at the eyes and the shell. And then the end of the summer, beginning of winter, so the gray nurse sharks were starting to come. So we saw one or two gray nurse sharks, and we are like, "Oh my God, this is
Wow.
sick!" So
Yeah.
I have a really good memory of that present. Yeah, and also obviously because it was like very recent.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm really bad with my memory. I don't know what has happened.
That's okay. Last one. What is one thing that you really appreciate knowing?
Mm. Swimming and being in the ocean. Yeah, I take it for granted because I obviously I grew up in the ocean. I learned da da da. But now that my life it's all about it, I think my mom doesn't know how to swim.
Mm.
And that's why she really put a lot of effort into us starting swimming since we were very little because she knew that she couldn't save us if something happened in the pool, in the ocean. So since we were very, very little, we started going to swimming lessons in the pool and stuff. And now that I grow up and she came to Australia not long ago, well, last year, winter, all the ways were around and I really wanted to take them into the whale watch and swimming and all that. But obviously, my mom is not going to get in the water. But my mom didn't even want to get on the boat.
Mm.
That's how afraid she was of the ocean. And I was just thinking, how sad that she's missing all this. Because she sees it through my lens, but she doesn't really know what it is like to be under the water with all those sea creatures that I cannot even express how you feel underwater when you are sharing that space with them.
Mhm.
And I feel so sad for my mom that she doesn't know how to swim and she cannot see that because she's afraid.
Mhm.
And it's totally understandable,
Yes.
you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, I take it for granted, and I think it's one of the things that, and because of that, I can swim, I can surf, I can free dive. I feel I can do my job,
Mhm.
which I feel so grateful for it. I have not really think much about it, but now that you're asking it, is like I think that's yeah, knowing how to swim and being comfortable in the ocean.
Yeah. No, it is such an important thing. It's actually a part of the work that I do is helping people overcome fear of water. And
Hmm.
as you said, there's no word to describe that feeling of being on the water, in the water, under the water, especially. So
Hmm.
I'm glad that that question brought that out for you and something to reflect on and bring your mom into the conversation too, because she obviously did you such a good service to make sure that you had that skill set that has shaped your life.
Yeah,
How cool is
but I'm
that?
so grateful for that.
Yeah. Okay, you have survived the weird and wonderful questions. Congratulations.
Yay!
Made it through. Um,
I actually like them because I like to make those questions. Sometimes in conversations, I come up with questions like that, and people is like, "Why are you asking that?" And I was like, "Why can't we just talk about random stuff like
yeah,
this?
why not?
Like, why would you do it if they come now, the aliens, and they start talking to you? What would you do? That's not gonna happen. Can you just think about it? Just think about it."
I think we're too stuck in adult mindset and we need to be reminded of, what it's like to be 5 and you're just curious about everything. You're like, "Why wouldn't I
Yeah,
ask you these random questions?" My best friend and I, like, we have a it's like, "Would you rather?" And we just would you rathered for,
yeah,
hours.
for hours.
Oh, I love it so much. So thank you very much for doing those with me, and I'm glad they were fun. So, before we delve even deeper, I usually like to start these interviews with a little bit of an origin story. So it's how did life all begin? Where were you born? What did your childhood look like? And also with your passions, were you passionate about these things growing up? Has it been a forever and always, or is it
Yeah.
something that grew
Um,
slowly?
well, I'm originally from Spain, from a coastal town called Valencia. It's 3 hours down south Barcelona for people that don't know about Spain. And I live in a very small town in Valencia by the sea. So I grew up by the sea. I learned to swim very like young. I always grew up in a town that is not busy at all. Even if I'm so close to the city, my town is not busy. I always like photography, always, since I'm little. I used to take my mom's cameras. I used to take photos of everything. I used to have disposable cameras since I was like I don't know, under 14, 15. And I used to take them every summer and make and save the rolls, and print them. And I have them all like in envelopes with the date and all my friends' photos and stuff. And I used to also have underwater disposable cameras. And I used to take photos in the pool, in the beach, just for fun, because I love taking photos. But I never knew what I wanted to do with my life. So when I finished like school and all that, I didn't know what to do. Like I always said that I was going to be a marine biologist because I
Mhm.
love the ocean and I love that. That's the typical thing. I want to work with animals and
Yeah.
and I want to work with whales and dolphins and all that. So yeah, I was going to be a marine biologist, but I was really bad at science and math. I'm so bad still. So anyway, I didn't know what to do, but I decided to start something related with photography because obviously I liked it. And I used to film videos as well and edit them myself. And I used to be that person that on everybody's birthday I do when PowerPoint were a thing, I used to do the PowerPoint with all the photos. Then everything, like got fancy and trendy. And, you get to do videos and you get to do, all that. And crafty albums. Like I was that person that was doing like all the emotional presence, they have a little bit more of a more meaningful presence. And people love it, obviously. Talking about this made me realize that probably I knew what I was going to be, but I knew, it was there. I just didn't know that was going to be back then. But now looking back, I'm like, you were always a photographer. I just didn't know. And you just don't realize until you get older and you work on a little bit on everything, all the spirituality, what life is about, why you're here, how everything happens. You start paying attention to all the details, what has happened before, why are you there?
Yeah.
And then you realize, everything is happening because it was meant to happen.
That's right.
So I studied audiovisual communication, went to uni for 5 years, which I regret. But anyway, my dad, you have to do it. Yeah, you have to do it. And I learned everything that is behind media, TV, cinema, radio, all that stuff. And I ended up working in a national television in Spain as a camera operator for the news. And I did that for a few years. I would say 2008 I finished. And I came here 2015. So yeah, because I started already when I was at uni. So 1, 2, it's like 6 or 7 years. I'm so bad with maths anyway. And yes, you can see. And at the same time, I was a freelance and I was doing like some like weddings sometimes, portrait sessions and things like that. And then I decided that I didn't really want to work on TV. I realize what is behind it, and it's so BS and everything is fake. And you watch the news, and when you work behind and you're making the news, you realize that you're just telling the version of the channel that you're working for.
Right.
And I just realized that I didn't want to be part of it. And I said, I'm gonna just go away. I've had a really long relationship that ended, and I thought I'm going to work for a year. I'm going to save money, and I'm going to go away because I always loved travel. My parents they always took us traveling. So I said I'm going to travel and I'm going to go away. I always wanted to learn English, be bilingual, and I wanted to surf because in Spain, where I'm from, there's no surf. Well, there's not much surf in the Mediterranean Sea. It's pretty much flat. So you have to travel to proper surf. And I said, you know what, I'm going to go away, cross paths with somebody, started talking, Australia, and I was like asking questions. I was like, maybe I do go to Australia. Why not? And ended up in Australia. All my friends were crying. Everybody, oh, you're not going to come back. And I was like, I'm coming back. Literally, my boss told me that I can come back anytime. So I trust that, and I'm going to come back. I will have a job in a year and a half or something. And after 6 months, I realized that I was so happy there. Yeah. And I am such a happy person. I didn't have any issue in Spain. I have a job. I have a good job, actually. It was like when I got my job, pretty much everybody was on the financial crisis in Europe. Like nobody had proper jobs. Like people was just working on whatever. People that had studied for 5 years in university was struggling to get a job in their career. And I was very lucky that I have a job in my career, but I was just not happy. And not happy. I didn't like the job, but I was happy in general. And I wanted to travel and surf. And I was like, fuck it, I'm leaving. So I left, and after 5, 6 months, I was like, oh my God, it's already been 6 months. This is amazing. I love this country. I can surf every day. Parrots, like lorry kids, birds everywhere. And wildlife. Everybody's so nice here. People is kind, is happy. You can see they're relaxed. I don't know. It's really nice to live here. And I was so happy. And I didn't think that I would be even happier than what I was. But yes, you could. And I thought, I want to stay longer. So I renewed my visa after a year and a half. Well, and I brought my equipment. I brought all my camera equipment because I knew that I was going to work as a photographer. I was like, I'm taking my camera. I'm going to learn how to shoot in the water. I'm going to save money. I'm going to buy a housing. And after a year, I bought a water housing and I started shooting surfing. And obviously I was surfing. So I was shooting surfing and stuff. Obviously I was getting in all the massive swells and cyclones that we get. I had a bit of, am I making this too long?
No, not at all. This is perfect. I love that. I also love that you started the interview saying, I don't know what I'm going to say. I don't.
And now I can't shut up.
You're in flow and it's awesome to witness. So just keep sharing. It's perfect.
I started shooting in the water, surfing, loved it. I learned a lot from it. Had a couple of tricky situations during those cyclones where I thought that I was going to actually die. I'm not afraid of the ocean. I'm not afraid of the water. Like I don't. It's actually scary because I am not fully very. I don't know if it's that I'm brave, that if I trust that nothing's going to happen, or that I am actually not afraid to die either.
I think it comes kind of with the spirituality element of I'm taken care of and belief that things are always working out for the highest good and in my favor. So I'm similar with regards to the water. I don't have fear. I've had a couple of moments when with sailing, big squalls, big storms where I've been like, this is questionable. So I can understand that, especially being underwater and being in the midst of witnessing the power of the ocean. I'd like to think that maybe we have a healthy respect for her power rather than a fear.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm always trying to get people to shift from fear to healthy respect.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I have got a couple of respectful occasions in there where I was like, am I actually going to die here? But I was like, no, you just calm down and breathe and relax, and the ocean will push you out. And that happened. And then I decided that maybe it was time for me to start freediving and being more calm in all the situations, being able, because I knew that I was holding my breath for just a short period of time. But I always liked freediving. But I was like, no, you know what? I'm going to do the course. I'm going to actually learn, how to relax, how to breathe. And obviously, I was going to Tonga to swim with the whales because back then you couldn't swim with the whales in Australia. And I thought it's going to help me to stay longer under the water, holding my breath with the camera, and I can take very good photos. It was all behind. There was a reason behind that.
Yeah.
And that's how I started. I guess and freediving, going freediving all the time, taking my camera with me, learn everything underwater, how to edit underwater, how to work underwater. And one day, not long ago, one of my good friends, she's a really good surfer, and she was surfing pregnant until pretty much 3 or 4 days before she was giving birth.
Amazing.
And I started taking photos of her surfing pregnant. And one day I said, hop off the board. Let's do your photos underwater. Take your bikini off and let's do a nude maternity underwater photos. And the photos were epic. And it started sort of getting a little bit into the whole community around here. Oh my God, these photos are epic. Da, da, da. And I thought, this is a really good niche. No one does this. And I was like, maybe I should start doing this. And I started doing underwater maternity, and now that's my job. During that period of time, also, one of my good friends is also a wedding photographer. And I met him through ocean photography because he was surfing one day and I was taking photos of him. And then we went for a coffee and then we became friends. Yeah, I started shooting weddings for him, second shooting weddings. And with the time I got comfortable with the weddings, and I thought that I would never do it. I was like, nah, I'm not into weddings, nah. And now I love it. That's what I do. And this February, I did my dream wedding, like an ocean wedding where the couple were surfers and they just paddled out and got married in the ocean. And I was crying. I was like, Marina, don't cry. You can't see anything. Focus. And I was like, this is such a dream.
Yeah.
I couldn't even believe it. I was like, this is the best. Like combining the wedding with the ocean. I'm like, oh my God. It got viral, because obviously not many people does it, it's such a different wedding. and everybody loves it. And I just hope that I'm putting my thoughts out there, and I'm telling everyone, you should get married in the ocean, people. Like,
Mhm.
you don't need to do the typical wedding. You can do whatever you like. It's your day.
Whatever you want.
Even if you just want exactly.
Mhm.
And people was, "Oh my god, I never knew that you could do this." Or, "You can do whatever."
Yeah.
There's people that they just go to the mountains and get married there with a photographer.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Equally
so
perfect, you know? And that's the thing. Being more open-minded to all the opportunities available to us. It's a very exciting time to be alive because I think, as you said, people witnessing what maybe to us would seem a little bit more normal, the idea of a surfing wedding, you're like, "Yeah, sure, why not?" But then for others, you're like,
yeah,
almost mind-blowing, and it's nice to be a part of awareness raising that we don't have to do the things that used to be considered societal norms. We can actually
yeah,
create our own meaningful moments in marrying the things that we're passionate about at all times, in all
mm,
situations, in something theoretically as formal as a wedding ceremony. That
yeah,
there doesn't have to be this barrier that says, "Oh, well, we better do the ceremony on land and then maybe we can paddle out for a photo." It's, "No. Why don't you just do the whole thing on the water?" You know?
exactly.
Listening to you talk about your childhood and then especially through your teen years and realizing that you loved photography, and it's amazing how the path unfolds. That's part of the reason that I really enjoy this podcast is that it's a real opportunity for the guest to really reflect on, "How did I get here?" And look
Mm,
at the magic along the way, like, how all the little tributaries came in from side to side and led you to where you are now. And I just think there's such a gift in that reflection because I think it allows us to take the pressure off a little bit for what's next.
yeah,
Because we can look back and be like, "Oh, well, if I let that all flow, I'll flow into what's next too."
exactly. And you just have to trust.
Absolutely. I had a couple of things that I wanted to ask you about. One, which was photography, which I think, you gave us a really beautiful insight into sort of how you fell in love with it. What do you think it is about underwater photography? Maybe in general, but also of the human body that makes it so special when we see it? It seems to me that your photography really captures people's imaginations and connects them to something that's maybe a little bit deeper, and I would just love to hear your reflections on what you think that is.
Well, what I think is most of the people that I do portraits for underwater have a strong connection to the ocean, even if it's emotional, even if it's due to experience that they had before, but even if it's because they are surfers, they are divers, they swimmers, or they just love being in near the ocean because they feel calm and peace. And I think that is what it reflects my photos because they love being in the ocean. So, I mean, I think there's a combination of the fact that I put a lot of attention to detail, but details in a way that sometimes I look at things maybe other people might not realize. I don't know. And most of them are very sensory, especially with the water. I always look at the texture of the water, like, but really close. Like, when you focus your sight into a tiny, tiny, tiny space and you're looking into a texture. Same under the water. Same with I see a ray of light penetrating the surface and getting into the skin. And then I see the skin, the goosebumps, for example. Like all that is what I really like to capture and the meaning behind it. We actually do believe that what I do is really beautiful because it's like mirroring. Like the babies are inside water,
Mhm.
inside the belly.
Mhm.
And then the mom is doing exactly the same by getting in the water and doing exactly the same, floating, like zero gravity. Right.
Same salinity level too.
Exactly. So I think that all that, even if some people don't know about it, that's what maybe makes the connection when people see those photos and they are like, wow, this is amazing. Like, because it actually is amazing. The model or the mom, it's floating, even if it's a model and she's not pregnant. The fact that you're floating in the sea, we all know what it feels like. So by watching it, and if it's a beautiful image, it evokes a feeling to show when I capture an image. Same when they are pregnant, if the light is coming through, I try to beam it to the belly so the baby feels the heat of the sun. You know what I mean? You can actually see it in the image as well,
Mm-hmm.
you know? I don't know. I just think about all that, and if I tell the mom, can you just swim the other way so I get the light in her back? We all know what it feels when you're in the water and then you feel the sun in your skin, you know? Did I answer your question?
Yeah, absolutely you did. And you went even farther. And I think what's really nice about listening to you talk about it is that, especially in the world that we live in today, where we're exposed to so much information all the time, especially visual information. You think about how many accounts are on Instagram and where
Yeah.
people are scrolling along. And I think it's really important for people to hear from photographers and videographers the depth to which you're thinking as you're creating these images, right? So it's not just a lucky click. It may be every once in a
Mhm.
while, but the amount of like thought and intention and love that goes into your photography is really important for people, and it comes through, and I think that's why people connect with it so much. But it's really nice for people to be able to hear you talk about it. That might actually, deepen their understanding and their experience of your art.
Mhm.
So I just wanted to say thank you for sharing it.
Thank you. Thanks for that. I really like it.
Yeah, you're welcome. My pleasure.
I don't know. I just always see so I forgot to say I love nude photography. And I think that when I started falling in love with the underwater and the body and the human being under the water, me and my friends used to go diving in a very close reef where we live. And I used to tell them, get naked, girls. No, there's no one here. Let's take some cool photos. And those are one of my favorite photos from all time. And I'm going to send a couple to my dad. My dad is a painter.
Oh, beautiful.
And so I want to send a couple of my photos to my dad so he can paint me one of my photos of
Yeah,
my friends diving
that's
naked in the
beautiful.
middle of the ocean. I think that I fall in love with that when we used to go diving and I used to tell my friends, get naked. Get
Be
naked.
free.
Yeah, give me your bikini. And
Yeah.
they're like, oh my God, this feels so nice.
And it
You know
does.
how everybody's,
It
it
absolutely
does feel
does.
so nice.
That's my summer solstice ritual, is to go swim nude, because it just feels so good to just be alone in the water, being held
Yeah.
just as you were made.
Exactly, and the water flows everywhere, and then you feel it everywhere, and it feels so nice
Yeah.
because it's not the same like wearing clothes. I'm all about nudes, so I think that's when I started falling in love, and that's when I started learning a little bit about all these stuff, these little things that I liked, and I used to take photos of everything. Like, I used to tell them, "Stay still," like float in the water, and I
Mhm.
used to take photos of just their hands, how they like how you move your hands to sort
Mhm.
of like keep yourself into position, how they feel the water between the fingers, then I used to take photos of those little details, how your nipples get so hard, everything, how all the little goosebumps around the belly and the back and everything, the
Mhm.
skin. I used to take photos of all that. And obviously that has helped me a lot into maternity and portraits underwater. And I also have done couples underwater. It's so romantic to see couples under the water because
Mm.
we all know it feels so nice to be just floating, hugging your partner, feeling the water in between, and the warm skin in the cold water,
Mhm.
and that has a meaning. And I used to take photos also of couples. I haven't taken one in a while. So yeah, I think that's how I fell in love with all the underwater human.
It's making me think of almost like your photography and your experiencing of photographing these things is almost like a sensory meditation.
Mhm.
It's like in your focus on all the little things that are happening. It's like a shamatha practice where we're so focused, we're just completely present and in the moment. So I can imagine that's a pretty amazing feeling for you, being able to witness people in that sense of freedom and comfort with one another and with the ocean. The honor of being able to capture that. That was one of the things I actually wanted to talk about was sort of capturing intimacy because we've all been in situations where there's a photographer, whether it's you're in a bridal party or,
Yeah.
whatever, and there it can feel very, like, stilted and staged and forced a lot of the time, but I think anybody who is following you and looks at your photography, it feels so genuine and natural, and it feels like ease.
It's one of my things. I mean, I think that also because I have that little background of journalism. Like I have trained my eye to look and observe and capture things that people is not noticing, for example. And I think that that has trained my also my skills. And I always tell my clients, I don't want you to look at me. I don't want you to, if you want to post photo and if you want a specific, I'm more than happy to do it. If you want a photo that is, you want to look at the camera because you want that for your mom, for your family, for your grandparents, things like that, perfect. I'm more than happy to do it. But from my side, because everybody tells me I'm so awkward, I don't like photos, I don't like being in front of the camera, and I totally get it. I am the same.
Mm,
And I truly believe that the beautiful things in life happen every day when you go for a sunset,
right.
when you go for a walk, when you get in the water, when you go surfing, when you go swimming. It's like, or when you're playing with your kids, okay? When you're playing with your kids at home, or you're cuddling, or you just don't have anybody there that is watching you to capture it.
Mhm.
So I try to tell my clients, "Like, we're going to go for a swim. And I just want you to go for a swim. I'm going to be floating around you. And I might tell you, face this way because I want you to face the light, or swim backwards now, or just float and hover, or just hold hands on the water, maybe. Or, like, can you dive under? Like, I might give instructions like that, but we are both playing. It's like a fun game. And then I'm capturing what's happening and I might tell them, bend the knee a little bit here instead of, it's not about super stage and pose, because what I want them to be is like, enjoy the swim
Mhm.
or enjoy the walk, enjoy the sunset. Look at the sun. It's beautiful. Like feel it in your skin, close your eyes, breathe the ocean, smell, like just enjoy what you're doing. Forget about me.
Yeah.
And that's how I like to capture the photos because and then they all turn out so natural and they all love it. And sometimes my clients are not really fully present on what's actually happening and they see me going down the water and and breathing up and coming down and go around them. And they ask, "Oh, what do you want us to do?" I said, "Nothing. I just want you to swim."
Just play.
Yeah. If
Be.
I need something, I will tell you. That's it. And then they finish and all my clients are like, "This was so much fun.
Mm.
This didn't feel uncomfortable. This was so easy.
Mm.
Yeah, I just wanna keep doing it. I don't it has been an hour already or an hour and a half?
Right.
Really? This flew, like,
Mhm.
oh my god, and then they get the photos and they can't believe it, and I think the moment that they get the photos, because they tell me, it's when they realize they just go like teletransportation to that moment.
Mm.
They just go like, boom, back in time. Oh, and then they remember when partner was kissing the belly underwater, when they were swimming, or when they were hugging, and then they realize how special those moments were, even if they were present. When you see that from another eye, which is the photos, then they are like, wow, wow, it was special then, but now it's even more because I actually have the memory to
Mhm.
look at it and go back to the moment.
Yeah, and I think when we're capturing the smile to the camera, we don't have that same you might remember the day, but you won't necessarily be grounded in a moment, I think. That's what I mean by capturing intimacy. It's not just intimacy with one another. but
Yeah.
intimacy with the sea, like allowing ourselves to be, which is a much wider life lesson in general, actually, not forcing and doing all the time, but actually the real magic comes when we just allow ourselves to be.
Exactly.
Yeah. So you capture that for people and how magical and wonderful it is that that's what you get to do.
I can't believe it. Honestly, I'm so grateful, and I think about it a lot when when you sometimes you just have down moments, and
Mm.
obviously I run my own business, so yeah, it goes well. I can't say that it's going really well, and I'm so stoked about it because I actually used to be a childcare educator before full-time photographer.
Okay.
So yeah, because in order to stay in Australia, because obviously, like, I'm from Spain, I had to find sort of a path
Mhm.
and I did secondary education after my university in Spain. So after doing secondary education, I thought I'd do primary here in childhood.
Mhm.
And then I just sort of like, like everything is related and I just applied for the visa here, da, da, da. So I started doing that. Um, and with the years, I was so sick of it. So sick of it. Oh my god. It actually, like, turned me off from having kids, even though I have so much fun, because
Mm.
I'm a pretty fun person and I love
Mhm.
hanging out with kids.
Yeah, for
But
sure.
with the years, I just got sick of it, and then obviously things just turn out like that. Like, I met my partner. I started doing like all this photography that I love. I started getting like this, it was my side hustle basically.
Mhm.
But then I started like quitting days at my normal job, 9 to 5 job. And I was like, I actually don't need to work 5 days. I can work 3 days. And then I was like, I actually don't need those days. But
Mhm.
it's scary. It's so
Yeah.
scary
Yes.
to drop your secure income. It's so scary because you're like, what if I don't get any bookings? What if I don't? What if?
Mhm.
And I'm like, yeah, but now I am so busy with my photo that days that I'm working, I should be doing this, I should be doing that to grow my business, to grow my business. Obviously, I decided like if I push it and I drop it, maybe I use those 2 days to fully focus on the business side and get more bookings. That's
Right.
what I'm gonna do. And at some point I was like, I'm doing it. I'm doing it. I'm doing it. I'm quitting. I'm quitting. I'm full-time photographer.
Yeah, and just announcing that to yourself first.
And I did that, and I was, literally, like, shitting myself because
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh my god, I don't have a regular income. How am I gonna pay the bills? How am I gonna
Yeah.
pay the rent? How am I gonna pay all the stuff that we have to pay?"
Yeah.
But it worked out. I just needed to do it
Yeah.
because it was already working, and I was like, "Okay, it's gonna work. It's gonna be fine." You manifest, you believe, you trust. Things happen for a reason.
And I think that leap of faith is integral in our journey to, living the life that we're meant to live. And I also think that there's huge value in the contrast of having the jobs that don't bring you sort of soul satisfaction, because it means that when you get to this other side and you're reveling in it, and of course, there's always going to be moments that are very challenging and you kind of go, oh, but the majority of the time, what we appreciate appreciates, right? So if we're in
Yeah.
these moments of gratitude, if we didn't have the contrast of doing the things that didn't make us feel good, we wouldn't be able to truly, deeply appreciate where we are when
Yeah,
we're
exactly.
in those moments of awe that's your life. You get to do that.
Mm. And I can't believe it. Like when I think that, well, I have like 5 photo shoots. I have to get in the water 5 times. I'm like, this is fucking great. It's actually so good. Like that I get to call this my job.
I get to play.
And I love it. To like be no, you're doing 45 minutes or 1 hour, because if it was for me, I will be there all day.
Right.
And then I will have like 7,000 photos, and then I will have to be on the computer for like 5 hours. And I'm like, no, Marina, you focus. You're gonna do 1 hour or 45 minutes, and that's it. And when you get this stuff and you have all your photos, you can take 1,000 more, but you're just not gonna do it. Okay. And I had to put myself like and talk myself to stop at some point. But yeah, I really love what I do. And I'm so grateful. I can't even believe that I get to work in this, and it's my dream job.
What would be your
Yeah.
words of wisdom for someone who is perhaps at that moment of decision, whether they're in a full-time job and they have a passion that they want to turn into a business, or perhaps they're in a situation like you were where they're kind of half and half, but it's shifting towards the other, and there's
Mm.
hope there, but the uncertainty is niggling at you. Like, what would be your words of wisdom for somebody if they found themselves in that situation?
I mean, it's gonna sound a little bit it all depends how you believe in things in life and what's your mentality about it and mindset. Because what I'm gonna say, if you don't believe that things like you're not spiritual, things like that, you might feel like, yeah, whatever. But you just have to trust the universe. If that's what is calling you and you really want to do it, but something that it's the negative thoughts are telling you not to, that's your fears, you have to let them go. Because if not, you're not going to do it. And now that I'm here, I feel like I wish I've done it before.
Mm.
I should have done that way before because I could have been working on my passion so many years ago. But it's a fear and it's your ego that doesn't let you like, you might fail, it might not work. Yeah, but what if it does?
Yeah.
If it doesn't work, you can always come back. You can always come back to a 9 to 5. You can always come back to find a shit job that you don't like. It's always going to be there. But if you don't follow your passion, if you don't follow your dreams, and you don't trust, you need to trust yourself, and you need to say like, okay, I'm quitting, and I'm actually fucking gonna make it work. I'm gonna make it work, and it's gonna be fine, and it's gonna work, and you just work on it, and you make it work. You actually make it work.
Mhm. No, I love that so much. Well, I'm aware of the time and I want to be respectful of that. I just wanted to say thank you for coming on and showing the other side behind the camera, what's going on in your mind and your body and your heart when you're capturing these amazing moments. And I think that it's really important for people to hear. It's an art like any other, where you are creating these things that go out into the world that are changing people's lives. So, thank you for the work that you do, for inspiring people to think outside of the box and to get in the ocean. It personally calls to me quite deeply, and I know it does to a lot of people around the world. And it just shows them what's possible. So, I really appreciate you going deep with me today and sharing some of that
Thank
bravery.
you so much. You were really kind. I really appreciate you calling me for this because I think that it was meant to happen. Even if we like hassled a little bit to make a date and appointment, I was like, this is gonna happen. And I know that I have to talk to her about this.
Yeah.
And I really want to do it. And it's been so nice to have this chat and talk about it. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, I'm so glad, and I'm very honored that you came on the show, and I'm excited for people to hear the passion just coming through the headphones and hopefully will, like, seep into their brain and allow them to let go of the fears that are holding them back from living a life based around their passions and the things that they love. So before we wrap up here, I have one more question for you. Before I get onto that question, I would love to hear what cause you've chosen for this month's recreation donation.
I did choose the Australian Marine Conservation Society.
Excellent. Are you able to share with us at all why you chose that? I think I probably know, but it's nice to hear from you why that one called to you.
I've been seeing what they do around, and I think that is very real, and they actually do help a lot and work on it. And sometimes you just feel that sometimes you donate to, organizations that you don't really know. Maybe it's because I follow their work, but yeah, sometimes you just feel that you donate to some organizations that you don't really know what they're doing with the money and stuff. But when I see what these people do with all the ocean conservation is, I just think that it's the best way to put the money for. And you can check the website, you can check the Instagram. They're always helping, and I think that we should have way more people. And I feel embarrassed because I wish I could be one of those,
Mm.
and I'm not doing it. I feel that imposter syndrome in me, like, yeah, you love the ocean, but what are you doing for it? You know what I mean? Well, I do in my daily basis. You know, I try to not buy plastic at all.
Yeah.
I reduce, reuse, recycle.
Mhm.
I pick up stuff from the every time from the ocean. I put it in my wetsuit when I'm surfing. Like I do all the stuff that I can. And these people, I just think that they are amazing. That's why I wanted you to know there.
Well, I hope to add a little more to your perspective there in terms of what am I doing for the ocean, as well as all the things that you're doing on a daily basis, on a personal level. Your work, I truly believe that when we feel connected to something, we are far more likely to take action to protect it. And so your work that you do every day connects people to the ocean. It allows them to fall deeper in love with this amazing planet that we live on. And that connection, like you have no idea how many people you're inspiring to take action to protect the ocean because of what you're doing through your photography. So, just to add a little extra bit there.
That's a very beautiful way to see it. Thanks for that.
You're welcome. It's important to do that for each other, right? Because a lot of the time we don't see the impact that we have. And I think about 99% of the impact we have, we'll never see. And we just have to trust that when we're
Mm.
doing our best and we're showing up with authenticity and integrity and doing what we love and what we're passionate about, you're protecting the oceans in your own unique way. So thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So, our final ultimate question. You have made it to the end of the interview.
Yay!
So, I love this question. We've already touched on spirituality and some of our beliefs, but I love asking this question to everyone I meet, but especially the guests that come on this podcast. So, I would love to know what you think is the meaning and purpose of life, the universe, and everything.
I mean, it's a very wide question.
Mhm,
So you can answer it in so many different ways.
mhm,
I think I'm just going to choose to answer it from an individual, as an individual soul. Just like, what's the purpose in life for who? In life? Like, whose life? Like, what are we talking? You know what I mean? So I think that I'm just going to reduce it to a soul. So I think that every soul has a purpose. So every person will have a purpose in life, but it's so hard to answer because everybody has come to this world for a reason. I do believe that I am here for a reason this lifetime, and my previous lifetime I was doing something else, and it was probably a different reason. Maybe this lifetime I have to fix something from the before, or maybe I don't. But I don't think that we know until we pass on to the next one, and that's when your soul probably will know, like, that's what you were doing in this lifetime. And then you go to the next one. Good luck.
mm.
And that's what I think. So I rather answer this question from an individual soul perspective. Is that okay?
There there is no wrong answer, just as there is no right answer. That's why I love this.
Exactly. I was going to say, no one knows what's the right answer. So,
We actually realize we don't know anything. That's the fun part.
exactly. Yeah.
That's why I like to end the interviews with that question because we all have, our own unique take on why we're here and what we're doing and how do we wanna live our lives. So that question just brings me a lot of joy because I love thinking about that kind of thing. It makes me feel alive and connected and here to celebrate why we're here, which we don't have to have an answer for. We can just be alive.
Exactly. Yeah.
So thank you so much for your time today. I am so
Thank
honored
you.
that you came on the podcast and also just so grateful to be able to connect with you on opposite sides of the planet. So cool.
Yay! Yeah, it's so cool.
And I was glad to hear that the sun is coming out. I do hope maybe you get your body in some water today and just let, Mother Ocean hold you for a little while, even if it doesn't have a purpose, and I say that in inverted commas, maybe the purpose is just to be held.
Exactly. Thank you for that. It was so nice to do this podcast with you. Thanks for having me. I feel so honored that you reached out and I was like, oh my God, I'm going to do a podcast. So, yeah, I'm so stoked about this. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate what you're doing.
This month's recreation donation is in support of the Australian Marine Conservation Society. As you now know from exploring with Marina and I in this episode, this charity is a voice for Australia's oceans and is an independent charity run by scientists, educators, and passionate advocates defending marine life since 1965. They focus on the big issues that threaten our oceans, from climate change to reef protection, water quality to fisheries, plastic pollution to whaling, and so much more. As residents of the world's largest island, Australians have a deep bond with the ocean and are dedicated to take action for its protection. Whether you can volunteer your time, money, or your voice, we hope you'll head over to our Patreon page to find out the different ways you can support their unique version of recreation for the world. Please take the time to let us know what the stories we explored in this episode meant to you, and if you do take action to support this month's cause, thank you. Thanks for joining us for this episode of Recreation to Recreation. If you or someone you know has a unique and inspiring story to tell, make sure to reach out so we can share it with the world. Until next time, keep happy, keep healthy, and keep exploring.